Hi, I'm Tom. This is Lucy, and this is Kitty Help Desk. So today, Miss Lucy and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of a subject that a lot of people don't want to think about sometimes, but I feel like it's really important to consider. And that is what happens to your cats when you're no longer around or no longer able to take care of them. Things happen to people of all ages. This isn't just something about growing older or anything like that. It has to do with the fact that these little creatures depend on us 100% of the time for everything that they need. And so we just need to make sure that they will be cared for in the event of a catastrophe or an emergency, or maybe just, you get ill and you can't deal with them anymore. I hate the thought of that, but I really think that it's something that's preventable. So the first thing that you can do is sort of develop a network of people in your life that, are willing to care for them when you're gone. And you can sort of train them on how to go about doing that. It's sort of like being a godparent, for a child. You could be a godparent for a pet. And so, a cat usually can adapt fairly quickly to a new home. And as long as a person is sort of familiar with their routine, it's pretty easy for them to adapt. If you don't have someone nearby who might be willing to take on that role, the next best thing is to provide documentation. Now, in some cases, that can be provided in a will, in a legal document, and that's okay, except for the fact that that kind of thing usually doesn't go into effect immediately. Like, it might be if you were to die, it could be a little while before that's really discovered, and there's a lot of process to that. I really recommend preparing a document like this. This is a simple 3-page document that I prepared about how to care for Lucy and Mina. And it basically says, the title is Caring for Lucy and Mina, Care Instructions in the Event Something Happens to Me. And this thing is in a little magnetic clip, and it hangs on the front of my refrigerator door in a very prominent location. I've thought about maybe making a cover sheet for it that's got larger lettering, kind of, so that it's immediately apparent what this is. But, there are things that you want to include in this. One is who is their veterinarian and whose name is the account under. In some cases, we all have sort of X's and things in our lives, and it helps to really make sure that the account is under the right name and an address. And so you want to include that information about their doctor here, or doctors. In the case of Mina, she has a couple of different veterinarians that care for her. And then you want to include information about medication that the cats get, either flea control medication or health care medication that they get, and who that's sourced from, and all that sort of information too. Then you want to talk about kind of what litter and litter boxes they're used to, because that can really help them to transition to a new home if that's the case. You also want to include something about sort of your wishes for them. You know your pets better than anyone in the world. You are the foremost expert on them. So it will help if you kind of include a section about kind of what you think should happen. If you have more than one, should they stay together? Maybe they're stressed out more when they're together, and maybe they'd be better off separated. That's up to you. Include that information in this document. The other thing is to include any chip numbers if you've had them chipped, and I encourage you to do so if you haven't. Having chips in a cat can really greatly increase the possibility of them coming back to you if they were to get out or get lost. And there are free, absolutely free chip databases out there. I'll include some links in the show notes below. And so expense really is no excuse. Just get them chipped, register the chips. For usually the companies that produce the chips have some sort of paid service. You don't have to use those. Those usually you'll get the first year as part of the package of buying the chip. Go ahead and register them so that that information is out there, but also register them with the free databases as well. Like I said, there'll be links below. Include the medical history of each cat, and then include their feeding schedule and links to the foods that you normally feed them. You can find them on Chewy or Amazon or Petco's site. Just type in the links, because what we want to do is we want to have both a physical version of this and a digital, like a PDF version of this, that you could give to friends and family, and they could keep it on their hard drive, and they could update it from time to time. That's the other thing about a document like this. You want to make sure that you update it whenever you make a change. So if you change their diet, if they suddenly like one food better than another, then you can actually update that information in the document and print out a new one to put on the fridge. But I'm telling you, any information that you give for them is really going to be helpful in the long run. More is better. So maybe, in this case, I had one sort of common page for both cats. Then I made pages for Lucy and for Mina, and they have their pictures there because, some stranger, they're not going to know. Lucy, Mina, I don't know which one they are. So make sure you post a good, clear picture. It doesn't have to be in color on the printed version or anything, but a good, clear picture that shows who they are. Now, there is one other possibility, and this is something that's coming to prominence a little more, is that there are now some retirement homes for cats that will allow you to sort of pay up front, and you reserve space for your cats in the event something happens to you. And then those cats are provided with care in perpetuity until their death. So that's something, I first saw this in the UK, but there are places like that in the States as well. And I would just encourage you to Google it and see if you can find anyone in your area. They are still relatively rare, but I think this is an awesome option for peace of mind, because you know exactly where they're going to go. You know that these people really care about them, and it's all sort of taken care of in advance. So there's no worries about, is there going to be money in the estate to pay for it and that sort of thing. So, if you have any suggestions of other things that you could do, I'd love to hear about them. Please leave that in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.